My name is Jacob Rushfinn. I've been working in mobile marketing for subscription apps for years. I do consulting and advising for apps. I also write a newsletter called Retention.Blog where I analyze subscription apps and try to give you kind of tactics for retention and monetization for your app. Today we're going to be something a little different. As you may see, this is not a presentation. We're not going to be flipping through slides. We're kind of going to be going through how I work and how I think other top app product growth marketers work to figure out how to optimize and evolve your onboarding flow for your app. So a lot of this is going to be focused on subscription apps. This is mainly where I work. And I think, for a lot of subscription apps, it's all about that first session, right? All the value is captured on that first session. Can we convert users on day zero, get them to start a trial, get them to pay? And so your onboarding experience is pretty critical to really driving success for your product. And so we're going to be taking a journey back in time. We're going to be looking at, from a few years ago, top apps onboarding flows, and then looking at different points in time to see how they evolved and see what changes they make. And this kind of helps us get into the mind of people at these companies and go, oh, they ran this A/B test. Oh, that test is gone anymore. I guess that didn't work. Or that stayed and it evolved and it changed. And it allows us to see what is working and what hasn't worked for very large apps. And unfortunately, the subscription app world is like a very copycat market, right? Where we're all copying each other. We're all looking at other apps to figure out what works. And even these top apps are looking at other large apps to figure out what tests to try out. And so this is, I think, how a lot of people work, how I work to figure out what to try next. And so I want this to be collaborative if we can. Like, I'm going to be going through, kind of talking through, but like, please raise your hand, ask questions if you want to dig into anything. I've got a lot here. I don't really know if we're going to get through all of it, but we'll see how much we can. And if anything, like you want to drill deeper on, like, please let me know. If you are interested in something, there are probably other people in the room interested in something. So like, please don't be afraid to like go, hey, like, can we talk more about that? So yeah, so let's zoom out a little bit here. So okay, yeah. First, hopefully you're going to learn how to optimize and iterate your onboarding flow, how a few different paywall tests you can run, how top apps iterate and test, and some important areas to focus on your onboarding flow. Kind of everything I just already said. But let's zoom out a little bit to see everything we got here. We got a lot. So we've got multiple years from Headway, Imprint, Ladder, Finch, and Fabulous. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through past years and then look at future years onboarding funnels, starting with Headway, and look at how that evolved. So we'll run through these, the initial flows, and then see what kind of tests and how they iterated, and then I'll kind of offer some commentary on like what I would test from this, what I'm learning from this, and feel free to kind of jump in, interrupt, as I said. We'll see if that happens, but maybe I'll kind of ask some questions to prompt you all to get involved if we can. I guess, first off, show of hands, who is working or works for a subscription app? Okay, that's good. I think the concepts will still be valuable even if you don't have a subscription app in terms of how to think about growing, iterating, testing your product. But for those at subscription apps, it'll probably be more valuable. All right, so let's dive in. And all right, so, and this is literally what I do to figure out what tests to run. I download an app, record the whole onboarding funnel, screenshot everything. I'm using Whimsical. I put it on this board, and then I just look at it and figure out what they're doing well and what's not. So if you don't do this now, I think this is a great tactic to kind of track your competitors. So it's hard to go back in time for you all. It's easy. I don't go back in time. I just have these saved from past years, and so that's what allows me to do this. And so I guess this is like 2 or 3 years all coming together, which is kind of cool. All right, so are you all familiar with Headway? Headway app? Yeah. Cool. All right, so Headway's book summary app. They kind of copied Blinkist and then surpassed Blinkist and doing quite well. So We start off, and when we see in their onboarding funnel, all right, it's very clear and concise. Number one, book summary app, some social proof we get in. It's interesting to me to see that they have account creation immediately. And when I look at it, okay, they have a skip option, but it's not very prominent. And so, thinking about account creation is interesting because you're causing drop off at that point. And so you're weighing the pros and cons of, is account creation going to create higher intent users that are more invested to actually complete the whole onboarding funnel and sort of trial? And is that going to outweigh the drop off? And maybe if I have email programs and getting an email is pretty valuable for me, and I'm confident that I can convert some percentage of users through follow-up campaigns, sale offers later on. And so that's kind of the math you want to figure out. There's not exact math, it's kind of rough napkin math to weigh if you have account creation early on, do you put it after a paywall? Do you want more users to see the paywall? Or do you want people to be potentially higher intent and higher invested by the time they get to that paywall? The whole concept of these long onboarding flows is to kind of build this intent, right? And build this excitement and build this emotion. And so these long onboarding funnels are really valuable for products that have some emotional connection where you can tap into that emotion and kind of build it over time. I don't think they work quite as well for like pure utility products from what I've seen. All right, let's keep going. All right, cool. So we got some little first name personalization. Keep an eye on this because this is going to change. So this will be cool to see. So ask age, what are my goals? Select some areas. Do I know what a book summary app is? Great. They explained that to me. And this one is cool. So this is talking about getting investment. They're asking me how much time would I like to spend. And so I'm kind of making this commitment to come back and use this product and kind of commit to these streaks. And so this is great because it kind of starts that habit mindset in a user's minds to hopefully improve retention and get people more excited. This is dynamic, so based on what I select, this little text changes. We'll come back to that. When would you like to find out new ideas? This one is interesting because it's probably most of you have kind of push prompts and push priming, and I think a lot of standard push priming screens aren't really that great and don't really do a great job. But this one's pretty interesting because it's not, it's become common to have people select a time they want to receive push notifications. But why this is great is because it actually connects it back to someone's real experience, right? Where you start to think about your day in connection to this app. So when do I want to use this? So it not only figures out a better time to send notifications that the user wants, but also starts making that connection in their mind to when will I use this app? And that kind of starts to form those, you start to visualize and think about, okay, yeah, I guess I'd use it before I go to work. And then you're much more likely, I don't know how much more, but you're more likely to actually then tomorrow go and do that because you've started to form those connections. And then we go on to they kind of have a little push preference center. This may or may not be the right approach. We'll see in the future. We got some testimonials. These screens are really interesting. I think that a lot of apps have started using them right before their paywall, these simple yes-no screens. And some of them are actual real questions. Some of them are more just things that get you to say yes. And so it's kind of this foot in the door. You say yes once, you say yes twice. You're in this positive commitment mindset. You're more likely to say yes to start a trial. And so I think that's the psychology behind these tactics. And then, it's a book summary app. So they ask, are you interested in these books? They're showing well-known books that you probably heard of before. You go, okay, I get it. They're saved in your library. All right, and then we get to a loading screen. This is a long loading screen. These loading screens, your app does not take that long to load. These loading screens are showing the value that Headway is putting together for your app. So you see they break these different loading sections down and so you've got goals, growth areas, like, oh wow, they're taking everything I did and creating this personalized experience for me. That feels great. And then they're asking even more questions to personalize this for me. So this is kind of is reinforcing the value that you've entered and going, okay, this app is pretty cool. It's creating something just for me. And we do that, of course, right before we get to the paywall. And so we see here they're using the trial timeline, Blinkist paywall, and if we don't convert there, they nudge everyone to annual plans. If they don't convert, they have some follow-up, discount offers, exit offers. If you're not doing exit offers right now in your app, if someone doesn't convert on your paywall, you're probably missing out on like anywhere from 10 to 20% additional revenue. It's pretty meaningful and pretty easy to do, so you should be doing it. Okay, so this was Headway in January 2024. So we're not going to go through every single section or screen like we did for this past years, but we're going to kind of look at different sections and see how it's evolved. So I think probably easiest way to do this is I've actually I've pulled out some different sections, and we can see here that let's start with their paywall flow and see how their paywall evolved over time. So first, this is what we just looked at. Then, in the next 6 months or a year, they added this commitment prompt. Have you ever tried this kind of commitment prompt tactic in your app? By show of hands? Okay, well, we're going to look at 3 or 4 of the top apps in the world using this. So maybe it's something you want to try if you have a health and fitness app or education product where you have some emotional tie. So we see that they added this right before their paywall. And so what this does, okay, it's pretty straightforward. It builds commitments, builds more excitement and intent before the paywall. And still, they have this trial timeline, but they've actually broken it out even more. So now they have a single screen that says, we'll send you a reminder 2 days before your free trial. Before that, this is kind of in there, but it's easier to miss. And so, one, this tells us, okay, well, that's pretty important. And when we look at a lot of paywall tactics, so many of them are just making sure your users know there's a free trial. Like the whole trial timeline is just, there's a free trial. People just see a price, people see a paywall and go, I don't want to pay, and close your app. So like if you look at all these paywall tests, so many of them are just make free trial big and bold, put this timeline, let's break out that text into a single screen. And then even let's break it out into one more screen, super simple and focused. Let's highlight, try 7 days for free, just so you see that price. And so this is a good example of kind of decreasing cognitive load, where we look at this original screen. Okay, it's pretty simple, but there's still a lot of information there. It's easy to miss. When we go to this new screen, these new paywall flows, there's like a single line of text on each one. You can't not read it. And so a lot of optimization can be done through decreasing information on the screen, simplifying text, simplifying copy, to making sure people actually see what you're putting out for them. All right. Then they still have this offer flow, and I think they added a new one. So if I don't commit to that second offer, they show another discount, another exit offer. So another example that do exit offers and do more exit offers, where if you're on that first session or if someone comes back to your app, keep on trying. If they're opening your app again, it's a pretty good signal that they want to use it. Everyone that closes your app and never opens it again, that's a much worse signal, and so they're not as likely to convert. So don't ignore just a simple fact that someone's opening your app again. That's a potential to kind of convert them. All right, so now let's look at, I think this was 6 months later. And so they actually, let's go back to the whole onboarding funnel for, I think we're in January 2025. And so we go through, this is a really cool tactic, and I've recommended this to a few people, and I think people have started using it. Whenever you can take UI or UX that's become popularized and everybody knows and experiences, this is better to use than trying to invent your own kind of fancy form of interaction. So you see, this is basically an IG story, right? This is kind of the story format. They're scrolling across the top. You tap to get through that experience. We look at their old flow. It was this kind of carousel design, and that was pretty popular, right? Everyone knows that, but it's not quite as interactive, right? And people can miss those dots as this story style. So this story style of kind of a little onboarding quick intro is something to try out. You can kind of tap through, you can skip if you want. And so this they added at the beginning of this year. And then, oh, look, they still have this personalization after I enter my information. I think I don't have the screens where I entered my email and stuff there, but I entered my name, I logged in, and then let's see how this personalization screen, this intro screen has changed from the past. So you've got name, we've got some social proof there, a little happy brain, and so that's actually, meaningfully different from what they used to have. It's just a simple, before is a simple first name, let's begin your journey. But that personalization screen they found effective, pulling through my first name and adding that social proof. So it's a good example that when you have that kind of, it's first name personalization, any personalization, people might be a little more engaged, and so they might be reading more of that social proof. And so it's a good time to kind of reuse that and emphasize that message. You'll see, social proof throughout. Generally, more social proof, better. So don't ever figure out other opportunities to insert that into your product. So, okay, that's pretty cool. And we're going through, I think they've added some audio components. All right, this is new. Now they have this whole interactive way I type in here, they offer suggestions, but I can edit and personalize this. What habits do I want to create? These are personalized based on these goals I selected. So you can see each one of these lines with productivity and career and feedback. And so it's pretty cool. Like when I first saw this, I was like, oh, this is a really interesting tactic. Sometimes though, the complicated, really interesting, cool tactics don't work. They removed it, it's gone. And so now they're just back to what they had before. You select your goals and you just kind of keep going. And so this is kind of the value of seeing, if you just look at an experience at a point in time, you're not actually understanding the thought process of the people working at that company, the tests they're running. And so that was a pretty interesting one to me. Let's go back. Let's go back to those paywalls, just because I think that's interesting, and we'll see how those evolve. So they had the commitment prompt. Then they actually removed the commitment prompt from the paywall in, I think this is January 2025. And we see they actually, sorry for all scrolling around going crazy. Hopefully it's not too disorienting. But we see that in January 2025, we can see that commitment prompt was actually here. They tried to insert it before the push prompt, your push notification prompt, to see if, okay, well, it's the same tactic, right? You're asking users for information. For a paywall, it's a little bigger, right? You're asking them to pay. For push notification, you're still asking something from someone. So maybe they were testing it out to see if that commitment prompt would help improve push notification opt-in. What's your guess? Show of hands. Do you think they kept this here or moved it around after? Raise your hand if you think they kept it here. Raise your hand if you think they moved it. Okay. Hopefully you guys didn't cheat and see on the screens. But yeah, so they tested it out. It seems like it didn't work. So we go back and we see this is, I think, from maybe a few weeks ago, their current flow. The commitment prompt is back to right before the paywall. So, and it's interesting to see with all these tests, all those iterations, this paywall, and we can more easily compare over here. Don't read my text messages. We can more easily see that actually what they had here, almost a year ago, is pretty much the same of what they had before. And so we a lot of times we test and we get small wins. sometimes we really do hit these kind of local maximas in our paywall, and it can be hard to move past this if you have a really great experience. I think that for a lot of apps, moving from this trial timeline to this multi-screen experience, where you break out each piece of information into its single screen, that's been a big win. These multi-page paywalls, I've seen pretty huge wins in using this, like 30, 40, 50% ARPU lifts, like big, that can like actually change the trajectory of your company, change how much you can spend on ads. And so when we look at, I don't have the full onboarding flow for Duolingo, but Duolingo is one of the first companies that I saw to actually use this. And so they broke out their old paywall into this multi-stage flow. I believe they're the first, and everybody copied them, as everybody does. Everybody copies Duolingo. That's how the world works. And so we can see that they moved away from kind of a trial timeline, but have this. And we see that this is really the most important part. Users are scared that your subscription is going to auto-renew on them, and so everyone cancels immediately. This tactic is to prevent someone from, right after they start a trial, going and canceling your subscription. So if you can do anything to reassure people that they're not going to do that, to not do that, that's often a win. And so I believe that we'll see that we'll see this same flow in a few other apps as well. All right, and then one other interesting thing I saw. So they had these offers and kind of exit offers. I realized that they added this additional prompt. Once you close this discount, it won't be available again. So these little simple system prompts, clearly they left this. So this was an improvement. This was a win for them. Headway has so much more data than you that it might be harder for you to see these smaller incremental tests as stat sig. But you can assume if they left it, it works. There's no reason for you not to do it as well. All right. So I think last piece I wanna show for Headway here. A lot of this most recent flow that we looked at. Oh, this is a cool one. Sorry, two more things. So instead of, they still have this story view, but the first time you open the app, they show this screen. And so think about this as like a hook to get you in. And so the people that are wanting to, potentially this aligns with some ad creative they're using or kind of messaging that's working, but it's this hook of, oh, those people are famous and successful. I want to be like them. They read a lot. So this simple hook to get you in. And so really a lot of these tactics, they're probably, maybe this improved conversion, maybe just improved drop off on that first screen, where that's the two biggest points of drop off in your onboarding flow are the first screen and the paywall. And so if you can get fewer people to drop off right when they open the app, that's usually a win. Even if you can't directly connect that to revenue, having fewer people close the app after they open it immediately usually is going to end up net positive in the long run. So that was probably a test they ran there. And then another thing they started doing is adding these kind of follow-up screens after you answer a question to kind of reinforce what you asked or what they've asked and what you answered. Makes you feel good, makes you feel like they're listening to you, and reinforces the answer. So we can see they added quite a few of these that we hadn't seen before. Choose your monthly goal. It only takes 5 minutes a day. Great. Then commit to growing with Headway. Wow, I have a 40% chance of higher chance of building a habit. Like a lot of times, like when we look at this stat, like plus 40% habit, like what does that mean? People don't read, right? People are just skimming through. They go, oh, big numbers, plus 40%, that's good. And then we keep going. And so you're going to overestimate the amount that your users actually look at your onboarding funnel. And so it's just how the world works. But that reinforces the fact, big, bold, simple text, less words is better. All right, so then we keep going through. I think they added, so one more example. Maybe they already have this, but you choose some titles and they reinforce that they've been added to your library. Remember we were talking about you just want people to know you have a free trial? Here's kind of prompting people again, hey, don't forget, or just to let you know, this is the first time they tell you, one more step to claim your free premium trial. It's not just a free trial, it's a free premium trial. And then we kind of get through, and then we see that paywall flow that we saw before. All right. So let's go through So this is Imprint here, and I'll show you. Let's look at their paywall, and then so Imprint used to have Imprint is semi-Headway competitor, and so we'll see an example of how everybody copies everybody. So Imprint used to have this long paywall. So these are all the screens. These are all scrolling. It's not like I can scroll and scroll and scroll and see all this information. And they had it for a while, so it must have been converting well. They have a $99 offer as well. And then we look at, so this was January 2024. We look at March 2025. They actually, this look familiar? Where they shifted to that broken out multi-page paywall as well. And hold on, that looks pretty similar to Headway, huh? And so if it works for similar products, if it works for your competitors, in these kind of conversion moments, like it's worth trying for yourself as well. And so it's pretty interesting. And then we can even see that, let's go back to Headway's paywall right there. You see that little highlighted text right there? We see in the original version, they have the same thing, but they don't highlight the text. I checked a few months later. Okay, now they all added that too, and that seemed to work for them as well. So it's interesting to kind of see those things. Something else. So we've been looking kind of post or pre-paywall experiences. But that's only one part of the kind of journey, right? If you have trials in your product, they start a trial, but you need them to convert on the trial and not cancel as well. So you want to keep them engaged after the paywall too. So a lot of apps, what we'll see here with Imprint, that pretty much after this paywall, you can see they pretty much just drop me into the product. There's a get started, but I have to tap that, and nothing really happens if I don't do that. So when we look at more recently, we go through the paywall experience, we go through the paywall flow, then I didn't convert, I didn't pay, goes create an account. Then instead of just dropping me into this, into the homepage, the onboarding continues. They're kind of holding my hand still, guiding me along. All right, great. And we see super simple text, visuals to explain it. And then they get me right into this course. So there's nowhere else for me to go. I can't get distracted. I can't go explore the app and not actually do what they want. I love this little UI. If you can educate people on how to use your product by actually using the product, this is so much better. So you've kind of interactive guidance versus just having like a tooltip or an explanation that says do this. Here, to actually progress, I have to either tap to go back and tap to go forward to move to this next screen. And then we see that they continue into this whole lesson, kind of the whole courses they offer. I didn't go through all these, but then keep going. And at the end, they've added some gamification as well. Every app has to have streaks now, right? And so they've added streaks, they've added some more education. And then finally, after I get to that, I either continue or then they land me on the home page. And so a lot of times you are kind of abandoning your users after the paywall. You show the paywall and then you and you put them on this home screen where there's so much information, they don't know what to do next. And so think about if you're having trouble with retention or having trouble with people engaged or just trial conversion rates in general, think about how can you continue that onboarding experience post-paywall to keep people engaged. Also, when you think about it, if you can extend that first session, make that first session longer, it just is more time people using the product, more likely that they're going to stay engaged. And the more time you use something, the more likely you are to remember it, right? For tomorrow, for the next day. And so it can be helpful to kind of kick off that habit. But also, if they have the app open, they're not going to close the app and canceling the trial. And so the longer that first session is, the better chance you have of them not canceling immediately because they actually get some more value then. And so we say all this, and then we go look at, so I looked at their onboarding flow today, and I select a course, and then they drop me back in the home page again. So I think they had that guided experience for a while, but we'll see why they do this. So they shifted to a kind of semi-hard paywall approach. I land on the home page, and then they see this this trail of kind of what to do next. I want to start this. This is also Duolingo. If you remember, they had this whole path. A lot of apps have started using that as well. Then when I go to start the path, I get hit with a paywall again. I can't do anything. I've tried this multiple times. So there's like the second paywall is the hard paywall that stops me from progressing. The first paywall, I don't convert. So that's a signal that, okay, I don't really understand the product enough. I'm not quite ready yet. So they get in, they try to show me a little more value, kind of show me what I'm getting. And then hopefully, now that I actually want to see the content, they block it off again and have the same paywall experience. So I think that hard paywalls in apps are becoming a lot more common. I think that potentially we overestimated, a lot of apps overestimate the value in their free user base, and they see that they're much more okay with it used to be that you had 90% of your users were free, 10% were paying, but you had this large active user base. You go, oh, look at all these users I have. Well, none of them are paying you, so like, how is it helping your business? Well, they're sharing and they're talking about it, maybe, maybe not. And so a lot more apps are shifting to this harder paywall approach where we've had this much smaller active free user base, but it can actually really meaningfully improve that early conversion, which means you can put more back into ads and growth and spend more on acquiring new users.